What is going on, everybody? My name is Dakota and welcome back to Dakota's Cologne. Today we're going to be looking at and reviewing Valentino's Coral Fantasy for Men. So the Coral Fantasy line is both in men and women's, and today we're going to be going over the men's Coral Fantasy. Alrighty, so the first thing we're going to do is what we always like to do, and we're going to show off the atomizer on this. So the atomizer is actually very good. Most of the time you only get atomizers like this for upper scale when you start kind of breaching in toward niche fragrances. It's very center focused, but it has a very good burst. It's mildly pressurized, not too over the top. And when you first smell this in the air, when you first get a whiff of it, this has a beautiful red apple note. Red apple in fragrances leans to be a little more sweet than crisp. And you also get some tobaccos in this and mixed in with a little bit of greens, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put 2 there on the wrist. We're going to get this drying down. And again, when you first spray this, that red apple has such a sweetness to it. The tobacco note, there's tobacco leaf in this. You pick up on that right away. But there's also a lot of green notes in this. So this leans itself to be more of a fresh, mildly crisp tobacco style fragrance, which is perfect for those fall to winter transitions or the spring. To me, I would really prefer to wear this in the spring, but it does suit this time of the year very well as well. Alrighty, so we're going to dive into the notes real quick. Let me get this spinning up and I'll see you all in a second. Alrighty, as we get this bottle spinning up, we're going to go ahead and dive straight into the notes. The top notes on this are going to be red apple, cardamom, and bergamot. And as I said earlier, the red apple on this is a little sweeter to me than the green apple. And I love the way it does in the opening. The only thing I wish the red apple was turned up just a little bit more in that opening. The middle note on this is going to be a lavender, a bourbon geranium, and a clary sage. The lavender you don't pick up until a little bit further and dry down. It is rather a weak lavender. It doesn't have like a strong, overwhelming nature to it. And on the base notes on this, you're going to get tobacco leaf, patchouli, and Haitian vetiver. Now, the tobacco you notice pretty much right out of the spray. Tobacco to me is one of the few notes I can pick up from the moment it sprays all the way through the dry down. The vetiver doesn't come on until way later. It does give it a little bit more of that woody, earthy type of feel, but it's done up very well. It's very light. That is going to wrap up this portion of the note breakdown. Let me get y'all flipped back around and we'll get back into it. Alrighty, and we are back. So I will say, as this dries down, one of my favorite things about this fragrance is even though it's very green, it's very fresh, it's got some tobacco in there, and some of the sweetness and some of the crispness that comes off that apple. This is an eau de toilette concentration. So this isn't a heavy fragrance. This has a light vibe and feel to it for being a tobacco forward fragrance. And that's kind of what I like about it the most. Like if you've watched the channel long enough, you know what I'm about to say. I'm someone who loves those thick, heavy tobacco, sweet fragrances, stuff like that. Not every occasion calls for one just to be a thick, loud, heavy. And to me, that's where this one falls. That's why I like this one so much. It's a little lighter, it's a little airier, it's a little more aromatic, but you can still pick up some of the fruitiness to this, you can still pick up a little bit of the sweetness to this, and the tobacco note is there. It's blended in such a way to where you know it's there, you know it's present in it, but it's not overbearing. It's a beautiful blend for a lighter style of fragrance. And the more you wear this, the more it tends to dry down. Some of the greener notes start to take over. Like you get a lot of cardamom in this. You get a little bit of that citry vibe off of this. The lavender is a beautiful note that you can pick up in this. Now the lavender doesn't hang around for long. The lavender, you kind of get a little mid of it and then it starts to fall off. And the more this dries down, the more this does turn into like a patchouli style of tobacco. This does have vetiver in it, so you get a little bit of that earthiness to it. But the biggest thing that I pull away from this is the patchouli and the tobacco. And the blend of this, the way it is, and also because it's an eau de toilette, it's light enough that the tobacco and the patchouli mix very well together and you wind up with a very pleasant scent. Performance side of this, we'll go ahead and get into the availability, the pricing, and the performance. So availability wise, this is a fairly new fragrance. It should pretty well be everywhere. Retail price on this for the 100 ml, which is what this is, should be around the 120-ish range. Discounters for Valentinos, they tend to not be heavily discounted. Discounter on this one is about 95 to 100. This time of year, you might be able to sneak in, get around the holiday season, you might be able to sneak in, get a little cheaper. Now, performance on this, like I said, this is a lighter performing fragrance, so it's not going to have that monstrous in your face. So longevity on this one for me, I get about 6 hours of realistic wearability, 6 to 7. Anything past that 6 to 7, it does turn into a skin scent, and it's a well dried skin scent. The sillage on this is okay. It's in the 2 foot range, somewhere in there. This isn't something you would expect to have some monstrous sillage. Now, I've said in the past that I think eau de toilettes do tend to project better. They're a little lighter. They can kind of move around easier. This one right here actually falls in that same category. The projection on this one's a little bit better than the sillage. This one wants to move forward from you rather than kind of falling back behind you. It's kind of weird how that works to me. But nonetheless, projection's rock solid on this. It's about 2 to 3 feet in the projection range as well. Now, I have refreshed this one before, and I almost don't like what this does if you layer it on itself with a refresh. I kind of don't like this one as much because with that heavy patchouli and tobacco, when some of that apple lays in on top of it, it doesn't smell bad, but it has kind of an oddness to it. Like, it's not, some people may truly love it, and if you have this, wear this for about 3 or 4 hours, layer it on itself, and tell me what you think about it. Because me personally, I kind of feel like the green tobacco notes that are in this for the base, I kind of feel like a red apple is a kind of a too weird of a twist. Beautiful dry down, great morph. Like the way this is blended as an outright wear, great. I genuinely like this. But layering it, you kind of get too much of a mix, and the notes kind of start fighting against themselves just a little bit. So if I was going to rate this fragrance right now, I would give this an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. The only real thing I'd knock this on is the performance is just a little bit weak for being a tobacco forward fragrance. Now, unfortunately, it does work that way sometimes. And as much as I like the red apple, I almost wish it had a little more of a crisp note on top rather than a sweeter note on top, because the apple note in the beginning is very good. I really do like it whenever companies use kind of different stuff. And you don't see a lot of red apple. A lot of people tend to use green apple to get like that crisp, like sweet kind of mouth watering. Red apple, just by its nature, I haven't seen a whole lot of red apple be used in these, but I kind of wish it was a little louder on the top. Some of the citrus notes you get between the bergamot and the cardamom, I kind of wish that apple was turned up just a little bit more. I feel like that would be a little bit of a better blend on this. So for that reason, I'm going to give this one, I'll go ahead and say 9 out of 10. But with that being said, I think that is going to get us wrapped up on this. Go ahead and get in this bottle one more time. If you're someone who does like a lighter style of tobacco fragrance, give this one a try. This one is rock solid. This will always have a place in my collection. The red apple on this does give it a little bit of a different vibe to it. Some people may truly love this. Some people may not like this. As far as Valentino goes, to me, this one is not as mass appealing as some of their other ones. This one's a little more kind of standoffish, but that's okay. But yeah, that is going to get us wrapped up. As always, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for subscribing, for the comments, the feedback, and everything. I truly appreciate that. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.